Pulamanaka, and welcome to a very special episode of For the Record. As we know, Fiji marked 50 years of independence yesterday, a half a century of self-governance and development. Now, in the lead up to Fiji Day, our FBC News Service had been running a special news series on people who were present during independence in 1970. Many were at Albert Park, while others were in other parts of Fiji celebrating the end of British rule and Fiji going into independence in 1970 on October 10th. Now, tonight we will bring you the full length of these interviews because there were so many stories to tell and there were so many special moments to share with you that we decided that tonight, Sunday, we will dedicate to these individuals and their stories about when Fiji became an independent state.
It was electric. It was wonderful. It was a wonderful celebration because we were coming out of the colonial era into independence. And I mean, none of us knew what independence felt like. So it was a whole new paradigm shift for us at the time. I loved the time. I was young. And everything was vibrant and everything was happening, and not really quite politically aware, but very much in the NGO fora. But it was a wonderful time for Fiji. Later on, of course, one reflects on, was it too soon for us? Were we prepared? Do you think that we had enough consultation, not only with each other, but with the Commonwealth and those, our colonizers? But it was what it was. But I can recall it as being a very exciting time. We were masters of our own destiny, and we had leaders who ensured that they chose what was best for us, and everything became new. It was a new women's movement. What excited me more than anything was that the women were beginning to rise, and it was a different, I guess, it was a different genre to what the men at the time recalled women to be. You know, very staid and very dependent almost on the males. We were becoming independent. We were thinking independently. We were rewriting the books for our own rights and our own future. So it was a highly, highly infectious, good time for us all, the people of Fiji. During the independence celebrations, of course, there were great festivities, and we do that so well here in Fiji. And because of our multi-ethnicity, the meccas were amazing. The traditional dances of the various communities were just the best. And of course, the celebrations that went on at the government level and at the official public service level, as well as in the communities out in the villages and in the settlements, it was wonderful. It was an elation when we knew that we were going to become captains of our own ship.
Well, frankly speaking, it was a sad day and also a great day, for the simple reason we're losing the touch of the British rule and coming to be independent, meaning, you know, democracy came in, and then we had to give up a lot of things like colonial system. We had certain things like uniform, etc. Even for those in the legislature at that time used to be dressed so neatly, but now things have changed, and then we are looking forward to being part of the new celebration. I was at the ground. I was in uniform for St. John Ambulance Brigade as an officer of the Order of St. John. And what I could see down there, a lot of people coming. The ground was actually flooded with people of different ethnic groups, you know, meaning, you know, like the Chinese, the Indians, the Fijians of that time, and of course a lot of Europeans were there at that time, because that was the time when the change was supposed to take place. A lot of these officials with the government were now giving up their posts to be taken over by our locals. People were looking at, while there was a bit of a merrymaking, but also there was the sad occasion when the Union Jack was being lowered very slowly, and then followed by the raising of the Fiji flag. That time, if you could look around, people had tears in their eyes and they were all heads down, rather than looking up to the flag. Most of them had their heads down, shedding tears, and many of them carrying their handkerchief, wiping off, because the thing was that they were losing the touch, maybe right from the days of session till now. They were thinking that they were under Her Majesty the Queen, but now things are changing and we are now going to be under some new people meaning Prime Minister was there and other government officials were there. The main thing that Fiji was a republic when the charter was presented by His Royal Highness to our Prime Minister. That's the actual time when you can say, right, Fiji is now becoming from a crown colony under the British rule, is now becoming independent under the new legislature, the new government. This government was not elected at that time. They were nominated before 1970. So they were in office until 1972 when the elections took place, and then the new government came in. When I say new government, the government meaning the new Prime Minister and the lot came in.
1970, I was still a little girl. I remember I used to go to Dudley Suva Methodist Primary School, and I was a brownies, like those like Girl Guides and brownies. So I was in the brownies. I remember that uniform that I had to wear on that particular day, and I remember us screaming and singing "Blessing Grants, O God of Nations" on the Isles of Fiji. Yeah, there's a lot of good memories. And when we used to go to the park, our parents used to take us, so we went through school, we did the marching, and it was an excitement, it was a big crowd, just like you have hibiscus or something, candy floss and Ferris wheel. And we used to be given those, it was like an apple shape, those juice bottles. And all the children, we used to get it for free. I used to really look forward to all those things. And those were the days, like everybody was one and there was no question of any indifferences or, anything like that. Lovely, it was beautiful. I have really good memories.
Just 16-year-old, I was a Form 4 student at Lambasa College. And independence was a momentous occasion for all Fijians. As school kids, we always look forward for any celebration, especially during the colonial era. We used to have sports, on the session day. Before that we used to celebrate session day, and we look forward not to those kinds of occasion as kids. Everybody want to be independent, so I, as an individual, want to be independent. So that's very encouraging to people that you are no longer
and will, I believe,
under some other monarchy, because when you become independent, you make your own rules
new burdens, and will have greater responsibilities.
So, you are yourself. The population started to grow, and more like, especially in urban areas, people starting to move in because of the, they had the opportunity to go to work. And I was here in early 70s in Suva. Suva has changed, tremendously. It's big change. You go to Nasinu, there were no houses on the left side. They were all farms. Now it's just houses. So it's a big, big change. I think every town, and city, there's a big change.
Stay with us. We'll continue with our For the Record Fiji Day special after the break. Welcome back to our Fiji Day special on For the Record. In this segment, a bit later on, we'll be speaking with the Chief Executive of the Fiji FA, Muhammad Yusuf, as we continue to tell the stories of Fijians who were present in 1970 when Fiji became independent from British rule.
I remember there were a group of us from the Dudley High School. Then we were in sixth form. We were picked by our teachers to do the actual garlanding of Prince Charles and Ratumara on Independence Day and leading up to it. So it was a very momentous occasion for us as 17-year-olds then. And we just remember the pomp and ceremony and the social, I even as at that time I remember it being a significant event for Fiji, the whole of Fiji. I think we rehearsed, there were other schools involved, there was the whole of different communities in Fiji involved, the Chinese community, the Tongan community, the Ratuman community, the Arambian community, the Fijian community, Indian ceremonies. So I was part of the Indian ceremonies of welcome, and I think we had like a whole week of celebrations. So that was, it was all excitement. There was not one particular moment that was like etched in memory, but the whole thing was like extremely exciting and significant because as we were growing up, I remember my parents talking about, all these political leaders and how there was this push towards independence with the Indian ceremonies of welcome. And at those days, there were elaborate, huge ceremonies. So it was independence for Fiji. So it was, we had Indian dancing, because I remember on the second or third day, we also danced after the actual garlanding of Prince Charles, which 5 of us were chosen for, and Ratumara as the leader. There was this flag raising ceremony when the Union Jack came down for the last time and our new flag went up. So we danced around the pole, and that was like, it's hard not to be emotional about it. So that was significant. And then there was all this, it was like very solemn and very, the whole significance I don't think was lost on anyone.
Weeks before the event, there were a lot of hype given by teachers. Every class, they would be told in the morning that something big is coming. Fiji is going to be an independent nation. So it didn't really kick us well at that time. Now we realize that how important that event was. But I must say the government of the day ensured every every child received a Fijian flag. A small noble banana blue. So around midday, the schools were closed. Everybody out in the assembly. I know there was a radio thing going on about the celebration in Suva, and we were with the kids waving those flags, and then we realized that Fiji is now an independent nation. Still ties to Great Britain, but we'll run on our affairs and all that. And it was well orchestrated by the teachers that time. Most of them have probably passed away now, but the Ministry for Education at that time ensured that this whole independence thing was well rooted into every child going to schools in Fiji, and that's how when we grew up, we knew exactly what independent Fiji was all about. For the flag, and there were cassette played on the recorders of the Fijian anthem, So at that time, not everybody knew how to sing. But everybody was listening and trying to sing. But later on, that became a norm in schools, the Fijian national anthem. Exciting. Half day the school was closed, so just having fun and enjoying the day. And of course, week before, every day we used to have a session with the whole school in the assembly. The teachers would be talking about it, trying to educate the kids what is going to come and what is going to be independent Fiji and all that. So those lectures were going, and but it was excitement all over the children in Sigatoka. Yeah.
At that time, we were thinking, oh, we are better off under the European or British people. But now we realize we are better off now. Because whatever we wanted to do, we got our own leadership, we had our own ministers, we had our own police force. We can do it. In those days, it was a bit difficult, you know. We were more open. When the British government walked away or gave Fiji in Fiji's hand, so we sort of started to realize, and there has been a big economic growth. People were open to go and ask for the loan, the Fiji Development Bank, and the other banks. So before it was managed by the foreigners, it's been managed by locally. So it's a lot of economic movement started. The atmosphere was that we are under somebody. Once we got independent, we feel free. I can ring up to the minister and talk to him. And if I wanted to do anything, so I can talk to them. In those days, it was a bit difficult because to get an appointment to when they are free, and the bureaucracy was difficult. You know, we were governed by very strict law. I can't express you my feeling after 50 years. I'm old now. I'm almost 80, but we were very happy. We sang the song because the national anthem, the lady who made the tune, and we used to live next door in Tamatamavua. And every morning we hear her tuning and singing and writing this thing. And that also gave us a lot of feeling. Huh?
Stay with us for more after the break. Welcome back to our Fiji Day special on For the Record. In this segment, we speak with a very special lady, Tessa McKenzie, who co-designed the Fiji flag, which was hoisted for the first time at Albert Park, 10th October 1970, as Fiji became independent, as well as Dr. Eddie McCaig, who had a very close encounter with Prince Charles after he handed the instrument of independence to Fiji. Let's hear their stories.
It was a very special occasion. Because of the fact that the flag, you know, I had done the designing along with Mr. Robbie Wilcock. Both of us had the same ideas and won the prize. And yes, I think one of the things I really felt was looking down on the crowds, because we were standing up on the roof of the government buildings, the old government buildings, up above what was then the Ministry of Finance, and we could see all the people around the park. Of course, we could not see the people, the really important people like Prince Charles and Ratimara, because they were in the Kingsford Smith Pavilion below us. But we could see the flag, and we could see it go up and fly. And it just looked so really splendid. So yes, it was a special moment. I mean, I thought straight away blue would make a lovely colour for the background. It's significant for the ocean, and so that was set. And the Union flag, to put that, was fairly obvious to me. Our big neighbours had done that when they gained their Dominion status. And we need to remember our history. In 1950, we'd had almost 100 years of British rule. And although there were mistakes, we all know that, there were a lot of good things too, which we sometimes don't realize, we don't honor. I have friends who are really unhappy that we have the Union flag as part of our flag. And I can understand, but I'm sorry, because history we need to keep so that we can learn from it.
It's interesting, 50 years ago is a long time ago, and I got to be thinking about it with so much in the press. And a few things. I was a sixth former at the Super Grammar School, and not enjoying school, by the way. I never enjoyed school. Might not seem that way, having become an academic, but I never enjoyed the school. It was very colonialist. But what I do remember about the good times is that on that day, building up to that day, we built a replica, a scaled replica of the Southern Cross, the aeroplane that landed in Albert Park, okay, as it flew across the Pacific. And so we built this replica, and it looked great. It kind of worked. We pushed it onto the ground at Independence Day, and we were all proud, a small group of us. We pushed it onto the ground, and we sat around while the speeches were given. It was hot, it was uncomfortable, we didn't have any shade. So did I remember any of the speeches? No, not really. But we had an aeroplane on the ground. So it was unbelievable. And what's changed since then? 50 years, everyone's got a mobile, so it would have been, a million photos taken of it. But I don't even have a photo, don't have a replica. But I'm sure you can find a photo of it. And yes, it was a replica of this aeroplane which we pushed onto the ground. And we dressed in our uniform, and yes, we sat through the speeches. And no, I don't remember the speeches. We remember, the photos taken of Ratu Mara standing up there and Prince Charles, but no, I don't remember much else. But I do remember, as an anecdote, being invited to the function.
You were invited?
I was invited to the function where Prince Charles was present. And even my father said, why would you get invited? Because at the time, I was a Form 6 student, never liked school. I was a fairly good student, but I never liked school. I was not a sports star. I wasn't a prefect. I wasn't even a prefect in the school. You got a school of a few hundred people, and only Eddie McCaig gets invited to this function. So I went to the function. Even my father said, no, it has to be a mistake, has to be a mistake. And at that time, 17-year-olds were little kids. We never thought like an adult. We were, this is a school where every morning we stood up to sing God Save the Queen.
At that time, I was a student at the Fiji College of Agriculture, and I can recall that we came to the main celebration that took place at the Albert Park, and there was quite a big arrangement for the school students to take part in that occasion. And we also been team students, and in those days we also thought of coming and seeing what has been happening at the Albert Park. And it was great to see that the Prince Charles came, and of course at that time our minister, Kamisha Samara, was the one who received the constitution from the Prince Charles. So it was quite an exciting moment for everyone that Fiji has been became independent country from that day, and so there was a big celebration held at the Albert Park during the main event, and followed that there was just, at the night, in the evening, there has been other activities taking place at the Albert Park, in which we also came and see what was going on.
1970, it was a very speculation year, and a lot of visitors from overseas came. We met them, and during that in Albert Park, we saw the parachute in the people, it was there, and the people jumped from there, about I think 2 or 3%, and landed at the Albert Park. Second thing, behind Sukuna Park was built, and opposite on Saturday night there was a firework. That was the biggest firework in Fiji. As I can say, the people of Suva can see from one end, Sukuna Park, to the other end, and the military of them were doing all that, and it was just beautiful. Britannia, Queen Elizabeth yacht, Britannia was also in port. There was another Navy ship, it was accompanying. Second thing, another Australian Navy ship also accompanied that. And all this was there. And Suva city was just beautiful at that time. And people were so friendly, loving, and everything. We had received that from by registered mail, and we collected. Second thing I'd like to tell you, I took this letter in 1970 to the Prime Minister of Fiji, Sir Ratumara, and he gave me a portrait picture. And we were so beautiful. I kept that picture still today in my sitting room.
That was all for this segment. We'll have more stories for you after the break. Our Fiji Day special continues on For the Record. Up next, we speak with a seasoned businessman and former politician and minister, Sir James Arcoy, who was not only present on the main stage during independence, but was also recently awarded a commemorative Fiji 50 medal by President Chochi Konrote. Apart from Sir James, we also speak with two of FBC's very own veteran radio personalities who were also recognized by the President.
50 years ago, when we were given the independence, Prince Charles came here as a young, I think he was he was a young captain, whether in the Navy or in the Army, I don't know, I'm not so sure, but he came to give us the instruments of independence by his mother. And Ratumara, because my first wife, Lavinia, made all the arrangements, the sitting and all that, and she was very high up in the government at that time, Ratumara's government. And I was sitting just behind Ratumara. And I remember Prince Charles very, very clearly in my mind. I can see him right now. So that's my story about Prince Charles. Well, just look at it. We are I can say it not because I'm a Fijian. I'm actually Chinese Fijian. My mother's Fijian and my father's Chinese. And I'm very proud to be Chinese Fijian. And I'm also Balai Tuna Balai Kambula. So I'm Fijian in that respect. So it's a great nation. It's a great nation, this is. And it's a great government. And I'm not pandering over to government just because I want to get something from the government. No, I'm a big player in this economy. So there you are. Maybe I'm biased. But if you travel around, there's no Pacific Island nations other than Australia and New Zealand they can compare with Fiji. We are so well developed. It's a credit to the present government and the past governments. Since independence, we've been progressing beautifully. So there you are. It's a great country to live in.
I have been in radio almost 32 years now, more than 30 years, let's say. And it gives me such happiness when I'm able to help people through radio, when I'm able to put a smile on their face, when I'm able to solve their little problems, like make them happy, give them hope for tomorrow, and make them realize that every day that this life is worth living. And most of all, I am so proud that I was born and bred in Fiji. I'm thankful to my Lord Almighty Allah Ta'ala that I was born in such a beautiful country where we women have so much to achieve. There are so many avenues to achieve what you want. There is so much freedom to choose your whatever profession you want to. And particularly radio, I'm sure that apart from God's blessing and people's blessing, it's the job in radio, because you are surrounded with music and you feel that you are helping people, and that feeling makes you feel so good. Oh, I feel so happy, so happy. It's really hard to express it in words how happy I feel. It's like such a beautiful feather in my cap of my radio journey, and I'm being awarded this medal. Oh, it's just such a feeling of elation. Yes, yes.
It was a proud moment. To be part of the 34 of my colleagues receiving the medal today. It was a great moment, and to me, to be recognized to the nation of the work being done. Well, the journey, we know it's not going to be a clear journey, or we all have ups and downs of work, of it's been a long journey. As I've been recognized with the great work that I've done for Fijian Broadcasting Corporation. And with those journey, I'm so happy to say that I'm so proud of the work that I did. And I know that I could continue. And I hope if the 50 years to come, that I'll be there to celebrate the Fiji Day.
Personally, I felt quite emotional actually, because 50 years ago my father got this when we became independent. In 1970, my father was commemorated for his contributions, and my family was. So today, getting it was very uplifting and satisfying in the sense that I was kind of representing him as well as me, and what our family stands for, you know. So it was really good. It was really a nice feeling, I must say. You know what it has done? Because I've always been been a fighter for equality for female. And right from when I was studying and through high school, through university, through, my work career, starting my own business and all of that. I mean, I've always, even today, I'm the strongest advocate for female equality. I mean, equality for everybody, so to speak, regardless of who you are, regardless of gender, regardless of racial proclivities, and whatever views you may have. I think we all should be treated equally as Fijians, and I think we've come a long way in terms of recreating the structures and refining the structures towards getting there. But we still have to do a lot more work. We have to keep at it. We haven't arrived yet, and we're going to get there. We definitely will get there. The highlight was when I was able to, during my life, buy my first house as a female. So, that was a couple of years, like 20 years ago. So that means women had come a long way then. So which is really nice. And that's actually the female empowerment bit is what I'm really strong on. And female commercial empowerment.
I was not surprised. I received the message very well. I'm greatly honored to be awarded the medal of the 50th anniversary award. And I personally feel that all the climbing of hills and the going out at sea and all the horseback riding has paid off. And I thank God for that. And it's the gift that He gave me, and then I'm so passionate about the serving that I do. I'm actually a community affairs consultant, and then I do this for the community back in the West. Currently, I'm a full-time volunteer with Fiji Cancer Society. Nothing is too late to start with. I started community services when I retired in 2010. And I continued that. And like I said, it's just paying off slowly. And this is the beginning of the many to come.
Coming up, our last segment for the evening. Stay with us. Welcome back to our For the Record Fiji 50 special. As we wrap up for tonight, our next two speakers are civil servants who dedicated their lives to service to the public, including a former acting police commissioner, as well as an individual who was at the ground in Albert Park taking pictures as Fiji became independent. Let's check out their stories.
Some of the highlights is 10 years as economist with the Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning. Working in regional organizations, 3 years in New York as a diplomat. Recently as a climate change stewards up at the global level, up in Bonn and attending COP with government, and as a regional international civil servants representing Fiji's in all international meetings. And so it's really been a lot when looking back from this day. I've achieved so much, and once again, I'm really thankful that this award has really sort of culminated into a career path that I've seen is really expanded for the last 30 years or so. The presentation of the award, I was really thinking about that. This is really another booster for people like me, still very energetic, still dynamic and robust in terms of delivering services for our people and for our government, and I'm really energized again by receiving this award today, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of years that I will be serving the government of Fiji through various portfolios.
The days when this great event took place at Albert Park way back on the 10th of October 1970. On that very day, I was posted at the government house main gate, doing guard duty down there. And I was only listening to the program that was going on at Albert Park, but I did not witness the actual event. Yeah. And to come over today and be awarded the commemorative medal, I'm thankful for that, and I thank my wife for the support that he had given me all throughout my career as a police officer and in the private sector, and as well as High Commissioner to Papua New Guinea. Now I continue to work at the moment, working as a consultant in one of the company here in Suva.
Princess Child,
Prince Charles was going to arrive at around 10 o'clock that morning, and the girls and I were already up before dawn. We couldn't even sleep the previous night because we were anxious and excited that a prince was going to be amongst us. We focused more on getting a glimpse of him than the actual day itself. The girls and I cooked that morning. By 7 o'clock we were ready. Our transport to Albert Park was already arranged a week ago. We had to leave Ndelenavesi early because there was road closures and people were just crowding up all the way to Suva. We took our mats, food, and we had a flag each to wait for when the prince passes by. We were shouting and talking so much about Prince Charles that when we actually got a glimpse of him, we were speechless. He was so handsome and dressed so neatly. Then he drank grog and we all cheered. People were just everywhere at that time. I think no one stayed at home that day.
1970, and when it was announced that we were going to be celebrating our independence on the 10th of October, our company applied for several press passes, and I was one of 2 press photographers who went to do the photography at Albert Park. The main celebrations, of course, were on the 10th of October, when people started to gather from very early in the morning, because there was no TV in those days. So you either actually came and saw the ceremony with your own eyes, or you stayed at home and listened to the radio broadcast. Many people came, and Suva was a hive of activity. Fortunately, in those days, there was not so much traffic, so parking was not an issue. But the media got there early, and exactly at 10 o'clock, the ceremony, the actual handing over of the instruments of independence took place, with Prince Charles handing over the documents to the late Ratu Kamasesamara, our Prime Minister at the time. It was a bit sad that something that we grew up with was being removed, but on the 10th, it was a totally opposite feeling. The sadness was gone, and there was a sense of pride in everybody when the Fiji flag finally reached the top of the flagpole, and the cheers from the crowd and the singing of the national anthem. These were very moving times.
And that was For the Record for this evening. Join us again next Sunday, same time, same place. Until then, Modemanda.